Imagine being trapped in a subscription you never signed up for, one that renews itself year after year, draining resources and peace of mind. That's what the world feels like right now, locked into an endless subscription called impending global conflict. And the price tag for this unwanted service? It's not just high, it's astronomical, almost beyond comprehension. Every single day the headlines are like new episodes in a grim series nobody wants to binge watch. Ukraine, Taiwan, the Middle East and more, cycling endlessly, each crisis bleeding into the next. The production costs for this global drama are staggering, billions funneled into missiles, tanks, cyber weapons, and the latest tools of war, all manufactured at a relentless pace. Governments are pouring trillions into military buildup, prioritizing defense even as their own citizens struggle with rising inflation, unaffordable housing, and the soaring cost of basic necessities. It's as if everyone's been forced to buy a ticket to a disaster party they desperately hope will never actually take place. The logic is simple but dangerous. If your neighbor gets a big, intimidating dog, you feel compelled to get an even bigger one just to feel safe. Now the world is crowded with barking dogs, each one straining at its leash, and it's only a matter of time before someone's grip slips. This arms race is a vicious, self-perpetuating cycle. Fear drives spending, and that spending only breeds more fear, making it nearly impossible to break free. On September 11, 2025, we find ourselves staring at a painful paradox. Nations are arming up to the teeth, while ordinary people can barely afford groceries or keep their homes warm. How did we end up here, repeating the mistakes of the past, trapped in a cycle that history has already warned us about? Why are we pouring so much of our collective wealth into weapons and war machines, instead of investing in schools, hospitals, or the future of our children? The answer reveals not just the priorities of governments, but the deep-seated fears and anxieties that shape our societies and our choices. In the end, we're all running a marathon no one can afford to finish, but everyone's too scared to step off the track, trapped in a race that benefits no one. Let's talk numbers. Global military spending has soared past $2 trillion a year. That's a figure so massive it's almost impossible to truly grasp. Imagine every country pooling their resources not for peace or progress, but for the machinery of war. Each year, the world collectively chooses to prioritize defense over almost every other need. That's enough to end world hunger many times over, to build schools and hospitals in every corner of the globe. But instead, it's spent on things that explode, on stockpiles of weapons that may never be used, but always threaten to be. Every extra billion for a fighter jet means less for healthcare, education, or fixing your street. It's a trade-off that's rarely discussed openly, but it's felt in every underfunded classroom, every hospital short on supplies, every pothole left unfilled. Countries are mortgaging their futures, betting that security tomorrow is worth sacrifice today. They sign off on massive budgets, often with little debate, while families at home struggle to pay their bills and wonder where their tax dollars are really going. Defense spending creates jobs, but it doesn't ripple through the economy like investing in green energy or small businesses. The benefits are concentrated, not widespread. Imagine if those same resources fueled innovation, clean energy, or local entrepreneurship. How many more lives could be improved? You can't eat a missile or live in a tank. These are symbols of power, not prosperity. When shelves are empty and homes are unaffordable, military might offers little comfort. This warflation drives up the cost of everything as resources are funneled into weapons. Inflation rises, and ordinary people pay the price at the checkout counter, at the gas pump, and in their daily lives. After a pandemic that showed our vulnerability, you'd think we'd invest in health or climate. The world's real threats, disease, disaster, and a warming planet can't be fought with missiles or tanks. Instead, leaders doubled down on missiles. They tour factories, approve new contracts, and reassure the public that more weapons mean more safety. The numbers are clear. We're preparing for conflict, even if it means neglecting our own homes. News reports tally up the billions, while neighborhoods crumble and families worry about the future. It's a global commitment to the idea that explosions solve problems. But history shows us that real solutions come from dialogue, cooperation, and investment in people. The result? A poorer, more anxious world. People everywhere feel the strain. As uncertainty grows and hope for a better tomorrow fades, the real cost isn't just money, it's the future we're giving up. Every dollar spent on war is a dollar not spent on building a better world for the next generation. And yet, the spending only accelerates. The cycle continues, as if there's no other way forward, until we decide to change it. Why the global arms shopping spree? Because every region feels like a powder keg. Ukraine's war jolted Europe awake. Suddenly, old defense cuts looked reckless. The China-Taiwan standoff has the Indo-Pacific on edge, with the US and allies bracing for disruption. China calls it unification. The West calls it a threat to democracy and supply chains. The Middle East remains a hotbed. Proxy wars, drones, and nuclear ambitions keep tensions high. Every flare-up anywhere makes leaders everywhere nervous, triggering a domino effect of spending. Technology is a huge driver: drones, cyber warfare, hypersonic missiles. No one wants to fall behind. Now it's not just tanks and ships, but satellites, hackers, and AI. The arms race is global, interconnected, and fueled by fear. Each region's anxiety feeds the next. The result? A world where everyone's buying matches, terrified someone else will strike first. The cycle is self-sustaining, and the price keeps rising. The US is the undisputed heavyweight of military spending. Its budget dwarfs the next 10 countries combined, making it the single largest military force on the planet. Year after year, the numbers climb, with hundreds of billions poured into defense, far outpacing any other nation. America sees itself as the world's police, ready to project power anywhere, anytime. From the Middle East to the Pacific, US forces are stationed across the globe, prepared to respond to crises or conflicts at a moment's notice. Billions go to Ukraine, while focus shifts to countering China in the Indo-Pacific. The US is not just defending its own borders, but actively shaping global security dynamics, sending weapons, aid, and military advisors to allies and partners. The Pentagon's wish list is endless. New carriers, F-35S, nukes, space and cyber tech. Every year new threats are identified, and new technologies are demanded to keep the US ahead in every domain, from land and sea to cyberspace and outer space. The goal is clear: stay ahead of every rival at any cost. Whether it's Russia, China, or emerging threats, the US aims to maintain its edge, no matter the price tag. But at home, the debate rages. How can the US spend so much on weapons while infrastructure crumbles and inequality grows? Many Americans question the priorities as schools, hospitals, and roads fall into disrepair. The classic guns versus butter dilemma is sharper than ever. Every dollar spent on defense is a dollar not spent on social programs, education, or healthcare. Politically, no one wants to look weak on defense, so the budget keeps growing. Lawmakers from both parties compete to appear tough, making cuts nearly impossible. This fuels rivals' anxieties, who then spend more, justifying even more US spending. It's an arms race with no finish line, as each side points to the other's buildup as a reason to escalate. It's a feedback loop, military Keynesianism on a global scale. The more each country spends, the more others feel compelled to follow, driving budgets ever higher. Breaking out is nearly impossible. The system feeds itself, locking nations into a cycle of spending and suspicion. The cycle continues with no end in sight. Each year brings new justifications, new threats, and ever larger budgets. The real question: what are we sacrificing for all this power? As resources are diverted to defense, the social fabric at home is stretched thinner, leaving many to wonder about the true cost. And is it worth it? As the nation looks to the future, the answer remains as uncertain as ever. China's military rise is dramatic. No more hiding strength. The People's Liberation Army is modernizing fast, aiming to rival the US by mid-century. Double-digit budget increases, a naval buildup unmatched since Winut. China's launching warships at breakneck speed. The goal: dominate the Indo-Pacific, deter US intervention over Taiwan. It's not just ships. China's investing in hypersonic missiles, AI, quantum tech, and expanding its nuclear arsenal. The strategy: asymmetric advantage, not matching the US dollar for dollar, but neutralizing its strengths. This military push is tied to national pride and Xi Jinping's vision of rejuvenation. After a century of humiliation, a strong military is seen as essential, but neighbors are alarmed. Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, and the Philippines are all rearming and deepening US alliances. China's buildup is creating the very encirclement it fears. The regional arms race intensifies. The stakes: control, pride, and the future balance of power. The spiral continues. Russia's approach is different: less build-up, more all-in gamble. The Ukraine war forced Russia's economy onto a war footing, sacrificing long-term health for short-term military goals. Factories now churn out weapons, not consumer goods. Russia's war spending is unsustainable, draining resources from every other sector. Sanctions have isolated it, making it more dependent on China. The war exposed military weaknesses, but the Kremlin presses on, driven by a desire to restore lost influence. For Putin, it's about reversing post-Cold War humiliations. The narrative of a besieged Russia justifies the cost, at home and abroad, but the price is catastrophic: a weakened, isolated state and a devastated Ukraine. Russia's gamble may win territory but risks losing its future. Europe thought the age of war was over, until Russia invaded Ukraine. Suddenly, peace dividends vanished and defense budgets soared. Germany pledged 100 billion euros for its military. Poland aims for the largest land army in Europe. Finland and Sweden joined NATO, ending decades of neutrality. The focus shifted from peacekeeping to defending home soil. Europe now seeks strategic autonomy, wary of relying solely on the US, but decades of underinvestment can't be fixed overnight. Supply chains are strained and political divisions remain. Some nations are hawkish, others cautious, but the trend is clear. Europe is rearming at a pace unseen in generations. The continent's security landscape is transforming. The arms race has a new engine. The question, can Europe balance security with unity and prosperity? The answer is still unfolding. The arms race isn't just for superpowers. Smaller nations feel the pressure too. For them, military spending is about survival, not dominance. In the South China Sea, countries like the Philippines and Vietnam invest in asymmetric defenses: missiles, fast boats, surveillance. Their goal become porcupines, painful to attack, even if not powerful. Alliances with the US, Japan, and Australia are crucial for deterrence. In the Middle East, Saudi Arabia and the UAE buy advanced weapons to counter Iran, fueling a regional arms race. Every dollar spent on arms is a dollar not spent on schools or infrastructure. The security dilemma traps them. Arming up feels necessary, even if it stunts development. The cycle of fear and spending is relentless. For many, prosperity is sacrificed for a fragile sense of safety. Trillions spent on weapons, while urgent problems go unsolved. We're racing toward a cliff. Military spending drags down growth, fuels inflation, and diverts resources from real needs. Is conflict inevitable? The headlines say yes, but history says diplomacy is possible. The Cold War was managed with treaties and dialogue, not just arsenals. Those tools still exist, if we choose to use them. Diplomacy is slow and unglamorous, but it's the only real alternative to disaster. Real strength is seeking peace when war feels inevitable. We can demand leaders invest in dialogue, not just defense. The choice: keep racing toward the edge, or find the off-ramp. It's a long shot, but it's the only one that doesn't end in catastrophe. The future depends on which path we take.